a colleague of each of our 20-year honorees, has prepared and will read a certificate of appreciation. This year we will recognize 2 employees with 20 years of service, Drs. Susan Bates and Pat Carlino. So at this time, I would ask Susan Bates, Professor of Chemistry, and her attester, Tim Brockmeyer, Associate Professor of Biochemistry, to please come forward. Susan's attester in chemistry was actually her friend Robert Lamb, but due to a recent knee replacement surgery, which actually occurred yesterday, he couldn't be here today, so Tim has graciously agreed to read the citation on his behalf.
So those of you who know Bob Lamb know that he spoke with a huge booming voice. So thank goodness I have this microphone, because that way I can speak as loudly as he. So Bob Lamb writes, I am happy to honor Susan E. Bates in recognition of her 20 years of service to our students, the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry, and Ohio Northern University. What is impressive is that her position here is her first and only job from the time of her postdoctoral position, indicating a dedication not only to the profession, but also to the university. Sue and I share one interesting background of work. We both did our academic work in the state of Illinois and in the city of St. Louis, although at different institutions. The significance of this is simply that we share the feeling of having to answer the question, where is that, received from the large fraction of the population unfamiliar with the academic institutions of the Central Midwest. Sue did her undergraduate degree at Rockford College in Rockford, Illinois, and her PhD in inorganic chemistry at Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. After a stint as a research postdoc at Sandia National Labs in New Mexico, she joined our staff in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. 2 features of her application process stood out to me. First, she specialized in material science applications of inorganic chemistry involving boride complexes, which were significantly less spodiferous and explosive than the classes of compounds being synthesized by other organic chemists. Second, I was able to follow her seminar with enough interest so as to not fall asleep. Her research on using sol gel methods for producing nanocrystalline structures fills a modern void in the departmental specialty areas. To the non-chemist, this means that to produce a material of specific properties, you suspend the elementary components in a solvent and then manipulate the reaction into a gel which can produce the material of the desired characteristics. Of course, to me, who prefers fire and explosions, this is the sophisticated side of chemistry and requires too much patience. Sue has contributed much to the department and its students. When she first arrived, she and her husband Steve opened their house to the students for special departmental parties and gatherings. In particular, she was a receptive ear and confident for the large percentage of female students we have in chemistry. She became a regular contributor to the GEMS program and the summer high school chemistry teachers workshop. For the past several years, she has assumed the role of coordinator of the general chemistry program, a task that requires the tact to direct the work of several colleagues, as well as a Herculean task of overseeing production of fair exams, while allowing for each professor's unique twist. Relying on the same intellectual flexibility, she has frequently overseen the individuality of the variety of student projects carried out in the department's capstone requirements. On the non-chemical side, Sue supports the baseball polar bears, even in the past following them to Florida during spring break. Personally, I think this is her way of experiencing baseball's positive side, a difficult challenge for a die-hard Chicago Cubs fan. It is always hard for a youthful couple like Sue and Steve to realize that their daughter Alex is a teenager and that they have lived and contributed to one community for 20 years, more than half their adult lives. We hope, however, that they have felt welcome and needed as part of ADA and Ohio Northern University. My 92-year-old mother-in-law says that it is a curse to wish someone many more years when celebrating a birthday or an anniversary. Let me just say that we hope that if they leave Ada, it is for a warm retirement village in Florida. spring training. Congratulations on your first 20. So I wanted to just add a personal note that I wanted to say that I have found Sue to be a wonderfully organized and helpful colleague in many, many ways. And my best example of how Sue has contributed or has taught me is that when I draw a square, it looks like a square. And if you compare that to how Picasso draws a square, there's a huge difference. And Sue has an amazing talent to write exam questions. So it's about the same material and the same stuff, but my question looks like a square, and Sue's questions look like a Picasso. So that's one of her huge talents. Lastly, I just wanted to give Sue a small token of my appreciation, because for the past 20 years, Sue has helped and encouraged students to think. And Winnie the Pooh, or Pooh, is always a special character to us, and so here is your Winnie the Pooh poster.
Wow, all those comments about exam questions were actually giving a Gen Chem exam tonight, and I'm not sure what the students are going to think about, or if they would agree with things said by Bob and Kim. But thank you. Hopefully it won't be a terrible experience, and hopefully they won't need next. Well, I have to say that up until a few weeks ago when I got the letter from the president's office about this, I thought this was year 19 for me. So I should probably start by thanking the university for letting me keep my job, even though I'm not very good at math, apparently. Maybe that was just me not wanting to realize that it had been 20 years. I think as I contemplated some comments that I might make, I really got to a list of thank yous, and I don't want this to sound like I'm accepting an Academy Award, so I'll try to keep it relatively brief. I think I would thank my colleagues, specifically Bob Lamb, who unfortunately can't be here, but Bob truly has been my greatest mentor over the past 20 years, and I don't think I've ever come up with a question that stumped Bob. So I always refer to Bob as my go-to guy, so he was my go-to guy for this. Kim, thank you. Thank you for stepping in and for being such a great friend. My colleagues in the chemistry department are really wonderful scientists and teachers, and I learn from them constantly, so I would thank them as well. And I think, lastly, I would thank my students, if I could gather them all together, past and present, and thank them for, on most days, reminding me that I love my job, and how lucky I am that I get to have a job that I love even after 20 years. And thank you to Steve and Alex as well. And go Cubs!